during those Lost in Space years. I guess childhood really is the best time of life. Anyway, it must be, because I certainly hate my life now. It's not, well, I hate my existence now. Over and out. You know what. P.S. I asked Professor Hurst if there is a good argument for universal salvation. He really knows his Bible, because he rattled off all the scriptures I know that seem to suggest universal salvation. October 17th, 1987, Saturday afternoon. Probably the most interesting thing I learned that stuck out in my mind that I learned this week was Jesus' temptations. And this made me happy. I was struck with the idea that Christianity may really be true after all, and that Christ, God, really may love us after all. The realization that Christ was being tempted in the desert by Satan to make Christ use his powers, thereby making it so Christ wouldn't be able to see what being a human would... Satan was doing it to make Christ use his power so Christ wouldn't be able to see what it would be like to be human, since humans can't save themselves through miracles. And Christ could have saved himself, in the desert. Anyway, not only do I feel that I'm becoming not only do I feel that I'm becoming a Kierkegaardist, but I'm also becoming somewhat of a Barthist also. Not a Barthist, but a Barth, Karl Barthist. These two seem to seem to make a lot of sense to me, Barth especially in relation to Job and Ecclesiastes. But I believe that even though the Bible was written by men, God was behind it all, even agnostic Job and Ecclesiastes. I was depressed when Ecclesiastes, or Solomon, talked about how there was no heaven or hell, and that when you die, you're dead. But then I thought, hey, where did Solomon learn that? And Job and Solomon both didn't say, God told me this is what's going to happen. I think Ecclesiastes and Job were written by men, very brilliant men, who show how meaningless life is without God, and since they did, they were put in the Bible. What else? Iran has attacked 2 of our oil tankers. My parents called this morning and think this is going along with Daniel. Well, it could be. I think it's really a no-win situation for America to be there. It definitely could be a fulfillment of prophecy, like all the other times we thought something like this could. Anyway, watching this makes me realize just how crafty, brilliant, and evil the Soviet Union is, and just how stupid, innocent, and trusting America is. I believe the USSR is just exactly like the planet Industro was in my Newton series. As Industro used Newton to attack and weaken the Earth's galactic forces so it could come in and invade, so is Russia using America. We are actually being used by the USSR to lower the defenses of Iran. Just a minute. To lower the defenses of Iran. Pretty soon. So they can come in and invade it and take the oil and make Iran theirs and turn the world against America by pointing the finger at us, just like Industria did to Newton by making it look like it was Newton doing um, to make it look like Newton was the bad guy. Anyway, if Iran continues to attack our tankers, this should be a pretty scary year. Over and out, B. Ramsey. October 19th, 1987, Monday evening. I have 1 week left to write my research paper on hell. Believe it or not, I think some poltergeist activity might have just occurred in my grandma's living room. There was a big crashing sound, but when Grandma, her student, and I checked it out, we couldn't find it. It sounded as though someone had taken one of Grandma's chairs and slammed it on the floor. Talk about strange. What else? America attacked an Iranian oil rig in retaliation for their attacking 2 of the Kuwaiti oil tankers. The Arabs and Kuwaitis are angry because that was all we did. I think it's funny, and I think I have finally come around to why America is there in the Gulf to begin with. The Russians and Arabs wanted us to come in there, even though Russia protested. Oh, don't come in there. That was to get us in there. They did this in the hopes that we would blow Iran away, taking away the Iranians' threat to Iraq, and so Russia could come down and take Iran's oil fields. But Russia and the Arabs misjudged America's intelligence. We really don't like Iraq and Kuwait to begin with, since Iraq tried to sink the Stark, and since we would play into the hands of Russia, like Russia was hoping by attacking Iran, we will never bomb Iran like we did to Libya. I know this doesn't go with Bible prophecy, but anyway, every time something happens to a Kuwaiti tanker, we'll say, yeah, that's terrible, and instead of attacking Iran, we'll just say naughty naughty by attacking oil rigs, kind of like slapping their hands. And haha, Russia will never be able to take the Iranian oil fields or the Persian Gulf. The Gulf will remain ours to keep. Of course, this goes against Daniel and Bible prophecy, but oh well, that's reality. The only thing that could get us out of the Gulf now is if Russia gave Iran the bomb, but I don't think Russia's that stupid. They made a move to get us in there. It was a good logical chess move, because they thought the Iranians were crazy and that they would attack us and we'd have to blow them away and they'd come in and take Iran. But we really don't. I mean, I don't think America really hates the Iranians. I mean, we don't. And we don't like Iran, and we don't like Iraq, and we don't like Russia. And we're not going to do their bidding. I'm pretty sure that they wanted us to attack Iran, so even though they no, don't come in scared, no, get out of here. Haha, that was like the don't throw me in the briar patch, Brer Rabbit thing. What else? Oh, the poltergeist that caused a bang in the living room wasn't a ghost, but my great-grandpa's painting. The wire that kept it up finally snapped, and it broke. It just got too old. Oh well. Science shows its Science showed its superstition-destroying head again. Over and out, BR. P.S. Iraq and Russia might catch on to what we are doing, and I realize this sounds like my old fanaticism, but Iraq could attack us out of anger, and we could attack both Iran and Iraq. After all, oh well, I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm starting to become the type that believes. He doesn't believe anything he sees. I'm becoming to the point where I don't believe anything I hear, and only half of what I see, like Grandpa. October 23rd, 1987, Friday, late afternoon. My research paper on Daniel on 1 Peter 3:18 is due next Friday. This weekend I'll be working on it. Anyway, oh, this week has been a girl week for me. Last Tuesday, I met a girl named Chris who wanted my phone number, and she gave me hers. She's blonde with a nice-looking body. She wanted me to get in contact. She wanted to get in contact with me because when she was talking to a teacher about spiritual ideas and concepts, I was able to answer some of the questions that she asked. Well, being that was my field. When I told her that I was a Christian, she told me that she was one also, and that was when she wanted to get to know me. Anyway, she seems like a nice girl with the same kind of problems that inflict me. I met another girl Wednesday. This girl is in my New Testament class. Anyway, I forgot her name, but she's pretty with brown hair. I struck up conversation with her when she took off her shoes. Her shoes were hurting her. So when she took them off to walk to our discussion class, I got the courage to use that as a conversation piece, an icebreaker. I think she has a pretty body, and since she didn't have a guy walking with her, I went to meet up with her on the way to class. Anyway, I don't think she likes me, or she is incredibly shy, because in class today she didn't make any eye contact with me whatsoever. And when class ended, I turned to see where she was sitting, and she was gone. She just shot out the door faster than a speeding bullet. Oh well, maybe I can find one who is friendlier. I like friendly girls, but shy girls, yeah. She's pretty though. I met some really pretty girls at the Davis Farmers Market last Wednesday. The two girls who were selling kiwis were really pretty and voluptuous. The one who was blonde looks a lot like Kathy Ann Thompson. And Kathy Ann Thompson was one of the foxiest girls I ever met in my life. Maybe I can somehow get up courage to talk to them. They were certainly a lot more friendlier than the girl in my class. Yesterday I met another girl in my class who was the friendliest and most fun to be with. Plus, she was a Christian also. But I don't know what my family would think if I ever dated her, because she's black. Even though she's from a different race, she was the most comfortable to be with. She's 28 though, yet doesn't seem that old. Also, yesterday, Kevin took a girl out named Jan. Her name was Jan Ekblad, who treated us out to some beer at an Italian restaurant in Davis. Anyway, Jan is an agnostic who avoids talking about religion and politics. When we accidentally got on the subject of religion, being that I'm majoring in it, she asked me if I was trying to rebel against my parents by taking religious classes at a secular university. I told her that I was going to a secular university to see if my parents' beliefs will hold up. I also said that I went because I realized that a secular university would either make me or break me. I told her I was a Christian. I told her I was a Christian in that way. When she asked Kevin seemed to avoid it, saying, "Oh, nah, that's crazy, you know." For some reason, Anyway, for some reason, he seems embarrassed to admit that he's a Christian. I told him he should be truthful to her because if there comes a time that she might want to have sex from him, she'd think he was queer for not wanting to have sex with her, when it was really due to religious beliefs. Anyway, that's really all I have to say for now. Over and out. B-R. Yeah, I, that scripture went to my mind. He who rejects me in front of men, God shall reject. And he who talks about me in front of men, God will accept, or something like that. I hope Kevin isn't rejected by God for saying, "Oh no." P.S. I sat through a boring lecture that Kevin had to see for a class. The lecturer was a famous old linguistics professor named Pike, who is actually in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Anyway, as I sat through it last Tuesday night, which was about 2 weeks ago, I thought, man, here is this guy who is in the Britannica, and yet only a few people showed up to listen to him, and wow, how boring. Oh well, for some reason, watching him kind of got me depressed that night. I felt sorry for the old codger. Here he is in the Britannica, and yet, anyway, I can't really explain my feelings. It just showed me that being a great doctor in something sure isn't everything. Last night, after meeting Kevin's possible future girlfriend, I thought about my own religious beliefs and how atheistic Melanie thinks I'm wasting my life away in Christianity. I kind of get depressed thinking about it, but then, well, God or no God, I thought, okay, what would I do if I were an atheist? Or someone who was able to do his own thing. A free thinker who would, if I were a free thinker who could have sex if he wanted to, etc. I thought about it, and hey, if I were an atheist, the only difference in my life would be, yeah, I could have sex with a girl and not feel guilty about it, but what girl would want to have sex with me? And what girl would I want to have sex with? I'd be depressed as hell if I were an atheist, because all the girls I would want to fool around with, and all the girls I want to fool around with have boyfriends, because the girls are pretty. I'd have to kill their boyfriends and risk being thrown in prison, and the girls that I could fornicate with are available aren't attractive to me. It would be hell if I were an atheist. I really think I'd be far more miserable being free than being a Christian. I think the only way an atheist can enjoy his existence is if he is young, good-looking, and rich. And if you're a girl and an atheist, you can only enjoy it if you're loved by some guy, and the guy has tons of money, and he likes to spend it on you. If I were an atheist, I'd be very sexually frustrated, very anxiety-ridden, and most of all, probably depressed all the time, because I wouldn't be able to attract girls, even the homely, shy ones. October 26, 1987, Monday morning. I don't know why I'm writing now because I don't have a thing to report. Over and out. BR. P.S. I'm not doing very well on my Descent into Hell paper, and it's due Friday, this Friday. I think if I were 5 years younger, I'd be able to do it. But now I'm really losing interest. I personally feel that, well, I'll tell you now. I'll tell you. Uh, yeah, I'll tell you how I feel some other day. Over now. October 27th, 1987, Tuesday night. Myron just called tonight. I called last night as well. Oh, he called last night as well. He's getting bored. I think I depressed him by telling him how the Bible is designed to make one think the rapture was always going to soon take place, which I hope I'm wrong. In my Christian theology class today, the teacher got to my Calvin and Arminianism. Oh, he was talking about Calvin and Arminianism, a field I know a lot about. Anyway, the class started thinking God was a monster when the teacher told us that God predestined some to hell as well as heaven, being that hell was eternal. I then began asking him questions that I feel show the evidence of universal salvation in the Bible. And he seemed to think that the scriptures I presented him were good scriptures to make it look like there is a second chance. This made the class wonder, and I think it got them questioning the idea of a temporary hell. I felt like asking him deeper questions that would make God look like a monster if eternal hell existed, but I don't, and I didn't, from the fear that I'd make the class a bunch of depressed agnostic Christians who are worshiping a monster god. If I wanted to, by bringing up questions in there, I could be a real creep by making them think God was a horrible demon god for allowing eternal hell. But I think the best way to convince someone is just to kind of give them little glimmers of something and make them think, then dumping it right all on them, because then they think, oh my gosh, it's a monster god. After class, I was walking about on the campus and met a girl from the class who recognized me, but I didn't recognize her until she asked me how long I had been a Christian. I told her that I was that I was a Calvinist, and she told me she was one also. I then told her that I didn't believe in eternal hell, which got us talking. She believes that God predestines some to heaven and some to hell, but the ones God predestines to hell really aren't predestined, but go there of their own choosing. I then tested the questions I refrained from giving to the teacher in class so many times, and the one I just talked to you about, which was, I asked her this: if that is so, can you really see someone deliberately rejecting God so they can go to hell and burn forever? I'm glad I refrained, because when I asked the girl this question, she was really upset.